Hello Team FD and welcome back to Team Talk, where we bring the Football Daily WhatsApp group to life. Joining me around the table is four titans of the digital football game. It's Joseph Tomlinson, it's Rory Jennings, it's Michael McCubbin and it's James Alcott. Huge. How the devil is everyone? This is a killer lineup. So excited.
Yeah.
How are you, Joseph? Starting with you.
I'm very excited to get into this, mate. I think there's going to be some controversial moments today and I'm looking forward to them.
Lovely. Talking of controversy.
Mate, what do you mean?
Rory Jennings. Did hear you include Eberechi Eze in your 26-man squad off screen, so no comments.
Eberechi Eze going to the World Cup isn't as left field as you're making this, Chris. That isn't as wild a shout as you're making it. Don't do that. Don't do that already. We're not even 30 seconds into this video. The passive-aggressive eyes from Joe Tomlinson burning through my soul there.
You're winning me over already. Michael, how are you?
I'm good. I do have a slight feeling I might get eaten alive today, but bring it on. Bring it on.
Yeah, I think you've been on a while, have you?
I've not been on in a while. My debating skills are at quite a low level right now, I feel like, yeah. So I'm just it's gonna be pure vibes from me today.
I mean, talking of low levels, are you feeling okay, mate? Are you feeling pretty low? You're not embracing yourself.
I'd say this is a lot of aggression and the lighting is quite ominous. I think all that mixed together is making me slightly nervous, but no, I'm looking forward to it. You know, I like a bit of England chat, so it's going to be good.
Thank you very much for joining us, gentlemen, giving us your time, making this show happen. We really do appreciate it. Go and follow their channels in the link in the description and in the top comments, so on and so forth. There is only one aim on this show, just as a gentle reminder to you all, and that is not to get kicked out of the chat, and that will happen to whoever gets the fewest points come the end of the contest. Don't you want to call it a show? It's a contest. It's like Hunger Games for football on YouTube. Anyway, let's get into round one. Round one, gentlemen, is the confession booth.
Oh, God.
I've mixed it up. It's normally start one, bench one, release one. That is not the case this week. The aim of this round is to garner some of your pre-World Cup thoughts pre the squad's been announced. It's got to be said.
Yes.
So the audience at home will get to see how well your takes have aged when the show airs.
Because we're shooting this before the England squad has officially been released, but you will actually have seen the official release by now.
Great value for everyone at home. Throws you under the bus somewhat.
Yes, massive.
Great. As I said, great to be here.
Question one. Who doesn't deserve to go, but will? And I just want to remind you once more that your objective here is to, put forth the most compelling argument. Thus, I will give you the point.
Doesn't deserve to go.
This is so easy. This. We should all just have the obvious answer. There's an obvious answer here.
Yeah,
I love it. Leading from the front.
This is that you've basically said the name of the player in the question. This is so clear.
We don't want
because it's just so it's equivalent to what's the capital of France. This is just there. This is just an obvious answer.
All right. It's an answer you don't want to say though. I don't want to say it.
You're very assured. James is having second thoughts over here.
I've just changed it. I'm going to be interesting instead of
James
boring.
James is obviously like such a non-conformist. He's going to go with something wild here.
I'm about the product, and the product needs to have different opinions. So
I like it.
Right, we're ready to flip our boards to reveal our answers, and then you can just have at it, gentlemen. 3, 2, 1, flip.
Didn't want to say it, but...
Oh!
I don't think he's going to go.
Does he not?
I don't think he's going to go.
If he does go, if James Ward-Prowse ends up going to the World Cup, that would be the reason being would be that he'd earned it. That would be the very definition of a meritocracy.
No, I think he's been poor this season, James Ward-Prowse. I think he's had a rare down season over the last 6 months. I think he's actually not fallen off a cliff, but I don't think his output is anywhere near what it was when he was in contention for the Euros.
He's been running hot, hasn't he? Like last season, he was amazing.
Yeah.
I would still want him in there.
Would you?
Yeah, I think it's close. It's really, really close.
So, McCubbs, what made you say JWP then?
I don't think he's a bad player. The only thing I'll say is I just think central midfield is by far the weakest area of England's squad. And I think if Calvin Phillips is fit enough to go, I don't really...
Don't do this.
What?
Hang on a minute. There's so much wrong with this sentence. You're going to be kicked out of the WhatsApp group now.
I don't see why... Basically, I think he's been in the England setup on the basis of the midfield being incredibly weak rather than necessarily standing out that much.
So you would take Calvin Phillips? If he's fit.
Phillips.
If he's fit, you would take him.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the answer to the question is Maguire. He doesn't deserve a place on the plane right now, given his current form. Yes, he's performed well classically for England, but performing right now, he's not even playing, let alone performing. He's Man United's fourth choice centre-back, and he's probably going to be a starter for England. So I don't think he deserves to go. I think he will go, and I actually don't have a massive problem with it.
I have a huge problem with it. International football in particular, I think all football, but international football in particular should be a meritocracy. You earn your place to be on the plane. You earn your place to start for your country. Do your performances warrant you being on that aeroplane? Harry Maguire is the very definition of abysmal. He has been so bad.
It's not abysmal.
He's absolutely abysmal. The way that he is...
For England, he's not though.
No, but...
In a back four, he's been poor, yeah.
No,
What would your retort be to someone that says he's never let Gareth Southgate down at international level?
Firstly, I think that's kind
To
of
be
irrelevant.
fair, he did have those 2 howlers against Germany.
No, it wasn't 2. It wasn't 2.
It was
one.
okay.
The one in midfield was
The
so
second one, I'm
harsh.
not...
In general.
Yeah, broadly speaking. No, but I would also say that the vast majority of times that you represent your country, you're playing... So think about England's journey in the last World Cup, for example. A lot of those games are very winnable games. Where he's been tested week in, week out, isn't against Panama. It's when he's playing in the Premier League. And in the Premier League, he is all over the place. Some of his performances have been so bad. He has been a disgrace to that captain's
He has not been
armband.
a disgrace.
He
As a Man United, he has not been
to be fair to him,
Absolutely.
he has been a lot better in the last couple of weeks when he's come back. So I do feel like the time spent
he's
out
played
of the
in a
team
full.
has done him well.
What he has done to that Manchester United captain's armband, when you think of the history in that armband, think about what that armband represents.
Different argument.
But he's going to be, effectively, if he starts for England, he'll be leading a back line. That's his position.
But back
That's what
five,
you-
he'll be leading the
that's
back
what you have
five.
to do. And he clearly isn't good enough to play for Manchester United. If you're not good enough to play for Manchester United, you're definitely not good enough to play for England.
That's also not true.
And crucially, there's cover for him. Like, we don't need him.
Right, hold on.
The one thing I
So
will
many
say,
things
though,
to be said.
Hold on. Poor form, sullied the armband. JWP, nothing special. Let's go with your answer then.
Okay.
Let's
So I had
elaborate.
Harry Maguire and then changed it to Tammy Abraham. And so the reason to quickly finish the Harry Maguire point of, first of all, in a back four, he's in trouble a little bit. A bit like someone who's an amazing defender in, say, Thiago Silva for Chelsea in a back four can get exposed. I'm not comparing the two, but what I'm saying is there are certain players in a back four.
James has just compared
as
Maguire to
opposed-
Silva there.
No, I
Comments.
just said the opposite to that. What I'm saying is
he's
that
become a system player.
what I'm saying is
Almost.
he's much, much better in a back three, which you have seen numerous times
Yeah, I agree.
for England, right? And that's why I swapped it around with Tammy Abraham, because I think there's Rashford, there's Ivan Toney, depending on
Callum
the
Wilson.
latest. Yeah, Callum Wilson, of course, as well. And the other thing was with Harry Kane, he will start. So you only need one more. But I wonder if Southgate will take 2 more. And even if it is that 2 more, even if it's up for grabs with him and Ivan Toney, I think he might still stick with Tammy Abraham. And his form's just not there for me. And for your second striker, they need to either come on and change it for you, or they need to be in great form. Ivan Toney and Rashford are both of those. Tammy Abraham just offers one, but doesn't have the form. And the centre-back positions, you said yourself, are a real problem for us, especially on the left-hand side of a back three. And Harry Maguire can do that, and thus he should be in the squad. He should be very, very close to be in the squad. And it's not a disgrace if he's in.
Going for the less obvious answer might be winning me over here. So does anyone have anything to say before I
Come on.
maybe award James the point?
Tammy Abraham, that was
I
a
don't
valid
think he'll go.
case. That was a valid case made by James. But let's explore the other options then to try and counter this. Callum Wilson hasn't played for England for 3 years. Ivan Toney would be making his debut for England at a tournament, which I think is risky in itself.
You wanted to say Eze?
There's jeopardy there, and also there's a lot of players that, like, basically 22 to 26 don't play any football, really, do they? So it's a wild card option. What we're saying when
So
I
with
say
his
Eze,
experience, surely you take him.
when I
then,
say
if
with
you've
Eze,
got
it's a
26.
wild card. Whereas what I'm saying with
Tony's a wild card as well, though, isn't he?
If
Really?
you don't take him, your centre backs, if you play a back three, it's going to be either someone out of position or there's a lack of experience in terms of depth. Even if you start a back three and he's not in it, I can just about figure that one out. But you kind of have to have him.
Is it not terrible management? Is it not terrible management?
So if you
to
didn't want-
prioritise Maguire over players that have played and deserved a chance?
I think he was hoping that there would be an upturn in his form, and I think the mistake that Southgate made was that he stuck with him in a couple of squads ago, and that's when you should have dropped him, swapped out, put someone else in, and gone, okay, we're going down this road. But I think he's stuck by him, which I guess is admirable. And in major tournaments,
Again, we don't know yet. Again, you guys at home know what the squad is. At this moment, we don't. So we are guessing here.
Okay. Okay, I think
Chris,
I think it's a great way to
do the right
real
thing.
as
Chris, do the right thing. Be the man that you want to be here. It's really important because you're going to set the tone for this show.
I'm
here.
100% going to be the man I want to be, and I'm
Use
going to
your own
award
brain.
James.
No, you can't do that. Can I riot? Can I do something about this?
Because I just in a monologue there. There's something I can do here.
Can I? It's like really polite rioting.
What you can do is gather yourself and go again for the next question.
Okay.
It's
I
coming.
think you've made a mockery of this already. Though.
You've ruined your own
ruined
show.
your own legacy.
Last question of the round. It's a punchy one. We can keep it nice and short. Do you believe in Southgate?
Turned into share.
Right. Flip.
Oh, Rory!
Oh.
Wow!
Oh, yeah.
100%. I am all in. Primarily because we are pretty much on the eve of a tournament. There is no point in debating whether Gareth Southgate is good enough. There is no point in talking about other managers that could potentially do a better job than Gareth Southgate. All we need to do now is focus on winning the World Cup. So any conversations that
You're
don't
saying it's a
do-
question.
I'm not saying it's a bad question, but I'm just saying that all we need to do now is pledge unilateral support and love to Gareth Southgate, because that's the only way that we have any. That's the only way that we have any chance of winning.
I'm
I
tearing up.
got a James Alcott round of
I'm
applause.
tearing
I'll
up.
take that.
But 2 months ago, would you have said the same thing? 6 months ago, would you?
No,
have said
6
the
months
same
ago I
thing?
certainly wouldn't.
So you would have entrusted someone else to take over just with 6 months remaining till the World Cup.
Yes. At the time, do you know?
Who would it have been?
Do you know what was a real moment for me where I felt like Southgate really needed to be questioned, and it was generally phrased and seen as being something positive, but for me it was negative. It was the fact that we didn't win that final. The fact that not only didn't we beat Italy at Wembley, but the performance that we put in. You know, in that final, obviously we played 120 minutes. England had one shot on target,
Game
and that
state.
shot
Game
was
state.
after 2 minutes. At that point, I felt like Southgate had probably gone as far as he could, and we should have had a conversation then. But there is no point in that conversation now. Let's just win the World Cup.
I don't want to cut you short, but if I offered you Thomas Tuchel right now...
No, not now. Not now. Now would be ridiculous.
How long ago before you would have made that swap?
In the aftermath of that 4-0 drubbing by Hungary,
Straight
I
after.
felt like there needed to be some... I felt like there was a moment where we could have made
So
a
2 or
decision.
3 months ago,
2 or 3 months ago.
if Tuchel was available, you would have...
Yeah. At that
Swap
point,
them out.
At that point, I would have done. Yeah. At that point, I felt like there was a major issue.
Would
Like,
that have been
England
an
got
emotional knee-jerk result after Hungary?
relegated. No,
or-
not really, because my issues with Southgate started at the end of when the referee blew the final whistle and Jorginho won the tournament. Like that was the moment
When they
where I
lost
was
the
just like-
final on penalties.
That was that was the moment where I
when
felt
they
like
lost
we'd
our
gone as
first final.
That was the moment where I
in
felt like
55
he'd gone as
years
far
on penalties.
Yeah, but this is a QPR coming out in you. You're seeing that as success.
no,
There's
but
no
I don't-
success in that tournament. What are you saying,
Right,
mate?
yeah,
Getting to a final.
Elbow.
Getting to a
Off you go,
final is a
mate.
success.
You've got to win this
No,
final.
Thank you very much for the service. Thank you very much for the service. You've got to a semi and a final. This squad is better than it's ever been. This is a generation.
is that true?
I actually
That's
think.
not
I think
true.
Squad is better.
I genuinely think
Squad is
Southgate.
definitely better.
The only way that Southgate leaves the England post is by resigning. He's an unsackable manager, I think, for the service that he's done to the England national team, to the England setup. Like he's been instrumental even before he was the manager of the senior team in terms of where England are now. He's been like there for the last 10 years, elite performance plan, you know, the St. George's Park stuff he was instrumental in, obviously with the youth setup as well. And yeah, like a semi-final and a final. Okay, yeah, the final, his substitutions in the final weren't great. The performance wasn't great. But like, yeah, the only England manager that I can remember who was actually sacked was Steve McClaren for not getting to a major tournament. Like, I just don't, I think it would be so disrespectful for him to be let go at any point. And I do think at this World Cup, if England seriously underperform, I think he probably will walk.
I agree.
He probably will walk because he's
gracious.
Well, yeah, and I think he probably does sense that if there is a viable candidate to replace him, that maybe it is his
the
time.
progression has stopped.
But I think if England reach the quarters and lose to a Spain or a Brazil, I forget what like the draw would the possibilities of the draw. Yeah, it would be France, wouldn't it? And you know, and it's a good France team. Then I think he has every right to stay in the job. Yeah, I do think he's unsackable.
Well, yes,
I think
anyway,
he's unsackable.
Yeah, I'm going to award you all a point for being such good patriots. Or is it jingoism? I don't know. Let's move on.
Don't know what that word means.
Right, so in round two, we're going to get the guys to pick their best England starting 11. They're not trying to predict what Gareth Southgate would do. This is what they would do. And we're not talking about the squad at large. This is your strongest XI. Now, James raised a very valid point. You would approach each match differently. But I want your median, average approach.
Right, if you could only play one formation for the whole tournament.
Yeah.
And
if
can
you're
I just
gonna-
confirm something? Are we saying Walker and James are injured?
James is definitely injured. I'm putting Walker in.
Okay, there we have it.
I think that's a big decision.
I think you get a certain amount of bandwidth with that. Do what you think is reasonable.
Okay, I'm gonna say Walker's out. Right. I don't think he's gonna be fit for that for the tournament.
Like I said, we're gonna reveal our rear guard first. You've done the whole team.
Yep.
Keen as mustard. I love it. Right, 3, 2, 1. Flip.
Great minds.
Pickford, Trippier, Stones for KO. Sure. I think if Walker was fit, he'd be nailed on right back as well.
And just to ask you, right, if Walker was fit at right back, would you drop Trippier or would you consider Trippier left back?
No, I would drop Trippier. I think Shaw's actually had a pretty good season for Man United since he's come back into the side to replace Maddison. He's looked very, very solid. I think Trippier offers the key to the entire team, which is set pieces. I think the only way England go deep in this tournament is to score consistently from set pieces. 40% of our goals at the World Cup 2018 came from set pieces from his delivery.
This is interesting though, Joe, because if Walker's fit, you drop Trippier. Not even so the impact that Trippier has on set pieces, you wouldn't try and fit him into the team somehow.
I'm sadly not, because I think Walker's pace is so vital to how we would defend in a back four. Really.
I'd massively consider Trippier going instead of Shaw. If Walker's fit, I think I'd play Walker here and then I'd drop Shaw and put Trippier over there.
I would potentially be
reliable,
good.
Trippier.
But
Stones and
for KO and Stones have to be the centre back duo for me. And I would play a four. I think this idea of us being so scared that we've got to play a back three is a bit of a myth. I think we've got the players and the talent there that almost all play in back fours, other than all of these players at club level play in back fours. Just play them in a back four.
And the reason that you have to pick Tomori, particularly if you pick a side like this, the one thing that these players are all excellent, but they lack one particular quality, like recovery pace.
Yeah,
Tomori will bring that to will add the balance to that team.
And alongside Stones, he's playing at the highest level consistently of any of the centre backs.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a little nod to all of you as managers as well. We've got the gung ho boys to my left here. Maybe a slightly more conservative James Alcott. Am I right?
Yeah, I don't hate that. When I look at other international teams, there is something in a back three, because set pieces are crucial. A bit of size is important, and I think Pickford needs a bit of protection at times. What I've got here is the beginnings of an asymmetric 4-4-2. So say Walker's not fit. Let's just talk about that, just in case that is the case, right? What I would do is I would play Trippier here, and I would play Trent, and Trent doesn't have to worry about it as much. And this
Trippier in a back three.
Trippier in a back three.
This is very Tifo IRL.
Yeah, sorry, but what?
Let's go.
Or James Norris Alcott channel. What it turns into a little bit is a back four, and then this will become a back four.
I love this.
And this will be a two, which you will find out as this team progresses. Because the concerns with Trent are defensively, right? And you want to get him higher up the pitch to be able to do what he does brilliantly.
He has been waffle at wing back every time he's put on a wing back shirt for England.
A wing back shirt.
Well, every time he's been playing that role.
Yeah,
for
the
England.
more
He's
aerodynamic.
played it twice.
They're like,
He's not played it many times, has he?
and never played it for his club.
Player, and I think that allows you.
are you doing this to get Trent in the side?
I think if Walker's not available, Reece James and these players aren't available. That's why, look, if Walker's available, I put Trippier here.
Well, why do you need
I drop Trent?
Why do you need Trippier if you've got Trent from set pieces?
In open play, he's amazing as well.
So, but then surely you have a out centre back over Trippier.
I'm not having Trippier.
But it becomes essentially back four because I want Trippier in the team. Sorry, I don't know why I've done that.
No, I like it. No, leave it. It's good. It's good.
I
like
want Trippier in the team.
Yeah, annotate.
And I think that allows it to happen. And when we're having concerns about a back four or a back five, I think that allows you to have a little bit of both.
I like a lot of what you've done here, but I have major issues with the word Dyer. I can't believe that Dyer is in this side.
And he has to be at the heart of the centre backs, like he plays for Spurs. No, he has to displace Stones
He's played
in that
well
role.
on that left hand side as well. I know he's made one big mistake for that goal against Liverpool.
He's had a good season, I think.
Yeah, he's had a good year and a half.
I would take him.
And I'd have him over Maguire, and that's why he's there. That gives you that size as well for me.
I
But
can't.
I'll explain it a little bit more with the
I think
guys
in there
midfield
you've
and
got
stuff.
3 players out of a back 5 playing out of position. In fact, you've got 4 because Shaw's doesn't play wing back. You've got Trent don't play wing back, Shaw don't play wing back, Dyer don't play on the left of a back 3, and Stones don't play at the heart.
He has for England. He played. He went and scored in the World Cup final, essentially playing that position.
James is
but not very
channeling Pep
consistent.
on the eve
hear
of
me
a
out.
final, and I
it's mad.
absolutely love it.
Hear
Right.
me out, but by the end of it, there's more.
Do you know what? If he does play wing back and he excels, this clip is going to age like a fine wine.
Come on.
McCubbs.
So I've gone for the same as Rory Joe, to be honest. Yeah, I would definitely have Walker in there. I think defensively he is like essential to us, but if not Trippier, I I think, Shaw has been great and was great at the last Euros as well. I think Stones has been pretty faultless in an England shirt. I think Tomori is very deserving of that place. I think he offers a lot of leadership at the back as well. I think his experience in Italy is really invaluable. But I would if Tomori's not available, I think actually Maguire goes straight in there. I think there's been a lot of talk about
back four.
I think there's been a lot of talk about Maguire being terrible in a back four, but actually Maguire has been bad on the right of a back four. When he was on the left of a back four in his first 2 years at United, he was absolutely fine, probably the best defender at the club. And he also has he's got a very historical partnership with Stones as well. I think those two really complement each other, Maguire and Stones.
Shaw.
And Shaw as well. So
Yes,
I
he's
think
always had
I think
protection for
I think
England.
I think Tomori is in there just, but I was tempted to put Maguire next to Stones there.
Now, the cowardly thing to do here would be to give you 3 points because I sort of agree with you. But James did annotate his board. And that is important to remember. So no points for anyone.
That's fair. Annotation deserves respect.
Doesn't even get a point for that.
Thanks, Roy. I had no idea.
Because it was just so hotly contested, no one's getting points. Right. Okay, we're moving on to midfield then. This is working a little bit better than I thought it would. I'm quite happy about this. 3, 2, 1, flip.
Really, Joe? Really? No Mount in your team?
No Mount.
So far, at least.
No Mount. No Mount.
Yeah.
Rice and Jude, I think, nailed on. Absolutely, we're all going to say that, aren't we? As the outstanding two players. Rice is going to have to play a slightly different role to what he does at West Ham, though, because he's going to have to be more limited in this side because he can't be as progressive when Jude wants to get into those areas as well. I think Jude has actually operated quite high at the pitch this season for Borussia Dortmund, especially in the Champions League. You look at that output where he's coming up, I think, on 5 goal involvements in 5 games. He's played quite high. And the reason I think Maddison's got to go in there is I think right now he's better than Mason Mount. I think he's having a better.
Good as Camavinga though, mate.
I think he's having a better season than Mason Mount. I think he offers more creatively than Mason Mount. I know Mason Mount's definitely better off the ball, and he is going to work harder off the ball for you. But I think the work rate that Jude and Declan Rice provide, alongside a player like Bukayo Saka is also going to provide, I think allows you to have the creativity of Maddison in the team. And I think if there's any other international side,
Right.
if there's any other international side that had a player that was going at the level Maddison is, they would be playing him.
So you'd bring him
not Spain.
from essentially nowhere straight into the start.
Well, I think he should have been.
Think about the environment
This is my team. I would have had him in the last 4 squads.
Yeah, I hear that.
My only reservation about him starting in midfield for England in a 4-3-3 is that England aren't historically ball dominant at tournaments, and Leicester are, so he can.
They're not that ball dominant, though, are they?
Can you swap?
They're not.
He would
this
play on the
season
right.
haven't
Wouldn't he,
been the most ball dominant side in the league.
No, but historically they have, and he's also had adequate cover behind him in the form of Ndidi or Samare or
Jude and Rice are
Tielemans.
definitely better than any of the players you've just mentioned there.
Well, of course, but that's not necessarily England's approach out to us. But
this
I
is
am
my
thinking
approach,
from,
not England's.
I'm
It's
thinking
my
from the
approach.
Gareth Southgate hat. You're right.
You get eaten alive with that.
I think it's very.
Come on then, Mount.
You all do.
I just do you know what though? When I
Why?
was about to make the case for
too
Mount, but
open.
on some level I want to hear more from Joe, just because I find it
This
very
idea-
educational. You
this
know, when I'm
idea-
around people that aren't Chelsea fans, there is always like
No, I
Mount
love
slander.
Mason Mount.
There
There's
doesn't
no
seem-
Mount slide ahead. I love Mason Mount. I think he's a fabulous player. I really do think he's a
But
fabulous
you
player.
love Madison more.
This season, I do.
I
Yeah,
just don't
I do.
see.
I think he's more
like,
useful coming off the bench.
I genuinely
as well.
don't possess the wherewithal, the chip in my brain to understand how people cannot see the brilliance of Mason
I'd be
Mount.
happy to go Mason Mount. I really would, and I think Gareth will.
But I find
But
it
I
very
think that
interesting.
Maddison.
Like, genuinely, I find it interesting. Why? I think there's like a bigger conversation here. Why is Mount so underrated? Like, you know when people talk
Because
about
he's
sensible.
I don't think
because he's
I don't
sensible.
think he's
I think
underrated.
it's a non-Chelsea fan. I feel like I see more slander about Mount from Chelsea fans than I do
But
from
never in a
non-Chelsea
stadium.
Nice, love that
But
counter.
never in a stadium.
Explain
Like
yourself.
Banner. Like Mason Mount
I
has
don't
a
go
banner
Stamford
in
Bridge.
the
But like-
Matthew Harding. You
Yeah.
know, like he's adored in the ground. Online, I don't pay too much attention to.
He's not been amazing for England.
He's
not
not.
been amazing.
He's not. But
That's
I don't.
true.
But I also think that doesn't mean that he's not quite useful. And
Yeah.
I think
He's
there is.
super
There is.
useful.
I think in terms of where he plays on the field, the kind of job that he's done for Chelsea over the last few years as well. I just think it works for that England team. And I know I'm putting my Southgate hat on
Cup,
here.
you know,
Yeah,
you're
like,
looking at European
it's hard
Cup
not
winner.
to-
You're
But I think
I did a Sunday Vibes 3 weeks ago, and I said Mount, and now I'm changing to Maddison. So I am a little bit flip floppy here. It's
and the
undeniable.
thing, I do think,
It's
Joe,
close.
you talk about Bellingham and Rice doing a lot of work, but like you say, Rice has to be quite limited in that role, and that's why I think Calvin Phillips has to go if he's fit, because like if Rice isn't having a great game defensively, then I think
He hasn't
Phillips
kicked the
needs
ball
to
in
fill
a
in.
year though.
If you're,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's
For the
true.
boys
But I
playing
think,
a four,
but also I think his football intelligence can supersede that. I know it's maybe a bit of a risk. But Bellingham as well, like you say, Bellingham does work hard, but Dortmund. If you listen to Dortmund fans this season, he can be defensively suspect as well. Again, in a pretty defensively suspect Dortmund side, but I think you want Bellingham to have maybe more freedom than anyone in that midfield because, he's not a creator, but his goal threat is unbelievable, and I think if you want him to be able to be.
I think we're just too worried. We're too scared as a nation.
But if we're playing a back four, I think we do have to have a more combative midfield. Like I think with a back three, you can kind of
sort of point I was trying to make earlier.
Mount is
defensive
Mount is essential
points,
at least
right?
to start a game. I think Mount is essential, and then when it gets to 60 minutes and we're looking at
That's
flat,
it,
then I think Mount can come off. I feel like we kind of did that at the Euros as well. Like you could maybe even bring on Grealish for Mount. Like I think that has to be the starting.
If we had a lights out DM, I think I'd be a little bit more for this, and I do agree. I
think Rice is a lights out DM. I think Rice is a lights out DM being asked to do more because West Ham have a really suspect midfield alongside him in Souček.
I think he can be, but also you don't want to limit Rice at the same time, do you? By saying
why not? But you've got
that
Jude
is the
Bellingham and
wrong.
Maddison, then you have to do that. If you've got players of that ability, then
Well,
I think you're missing.
That's the area of dispute, right?
How you start and how you, as I said, I've said it before. At 60 minutes, you've got 5 substitutions as well. So to start that open for me feels like a little bit too much. I think you can't make. And look, again,
here we go.
Against like Iran or Wales, the group stage. I get it if you want to play a back four because you feel that confident in doing it, but throughout the tournament, I think you have to, in the last stages, you're going to have to start with a back three, I think. Because I think you just get eaten up. Get eaten up. I think you get destroyed again. Like you said yourself, the England squad, if you have a look at the other squads, they are some amazing squads there. And I think you have to stay in the game. That's what Southgate's done, which I know is a little bit boring, but it gets us into the last stages of tournaments a lot of the time.
I don't know.
And so you need that mix of both. So that's why, and also the stamina of these two, that's why I have this, is because it allows you to allow those two to get on, allow you to have a front three as well, which is going to like move it forward a little bit. And the Maddison thing, what a great substitute to bring on. But I would not.
Where would you bring him on as well? On the right hand side?
But why can't we try and win games early? Why can't we try and go out and blitz teams 3-0?
I'm excited to see whether James's team evolves to include Mount or Maddison or where's James's team going here?
So my team doesn't have Mount or Maddison in it. Because again, I think Mount when he came over against Germany was amazing. Maddison when he would come on with 30 minutes to go, again, amazing.
But why can't they just affect the game early?
But this can be 2 at the back. With Trippier's over here, Trent's nice and high, Shaw can get on, Bellingham can get on, Rice can be the guy who sits there. We get a little bit too bogged down.
James, do you know what though? You know when you were talking about like keeping it safe, keeping it sure, staying in the game. Mason Mount is integral to that sort of approach. Mason Mount's work rate is sky high.
I get that. I just think these two, they have such stamina about them. And defensively solid, but can break with the ball as well. It then allows you to have a front three. I never can say that. And it's just about, again, at 60 minutes. I think you could still be 2-0 up at 60 minutes, and you can still bring him on. But I'm not thinking the group stages. I'm thinking France in the quarterfinals.
We can take it to France. We can take the game to France.
You get murdered.
No Kante.
Okay.
No Kante.
Right. Well, I think what would help us
No Kante, that is true. No problem.
Come to some sort of conclusion would be to see everyone's forward lines, because I feel like we're at that point now where everyone is sort of got a good feel for one another starting 11s, and we'll be able to see the bigger picture when you've included your strikers. Like with the last round, there's little to no point me awarding points there, because I think we just wait until the final exercise are drawn up, and then I'll go with who I like. The crowd at home can go with who they like. The crowd, the subscribers.
I think there's only one answer here, right?
Salah, Kane, Sterling.
Sterling doesn't make my team.
Wow.
I'm not sure he makes mine.
It's so close. It's so close.
Do you know why I can't put Sterling in? Because it makes a mockery of everything that I would have said prior about Harry Maguire. I'm saying that football is a meritocracy. You have to earn your place in the team. The performances that you're putting in have to warrant being in the side.
I think that's too simplistic, though, mate. I think that's too simplistic.
Yeah, but sometimes football is a very simple game. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes there's room for arrows and XG. But in other times,
always room for XG.
Whereas previously, you didn't like the annotations. Make mine. Go on.
But
it is
other
missing
times,
arrows, to be fair. The forward line. We need a couple more arrows.
I can't believe you're not playing Saka. I honestly cannot believe Saka's not in your team.
Do you think that's more contentious? Do you think that's more contentious?
Your team.
I think that's one of the most
Hold
contentious
on. Do you
things on the whole
think
board.
him not playing Saka's more contentious than Rory not playing Sterling?
I mean, I've replaced him with
Yeah,
Foden.
Saka's got
It's hardly wild.
Can I explain more?
I've got Phil Foden.
Keen to learn Joe's perspective here because he looks very.
I think
on the cusp of a big fall.
Yeah, calm
I
down,
think
Joe.
Saka is our only outstanding right winger. I think to play Sterling out there, you're playing him out of position. For one, he's had a poor season at Chelsea, and you're playing him out of position. He's playing left wing back at times at Chelsea. Now we're playing him right wing. And
I've got a problem with your team immediately. Sorry, I'm going to have to interrupt.
Go on.
This is unacceptable.
What?
Chris, you're the chair here.
Yeah, you gotta
he
make
can't
it- you
do
gotta
one or the
make- you gotta
other.
make
He's
Sterling.
hedging his
Oh,
bets.
okay.
Come on, we have
I'll
to
go
live and
Sterling.
die by our
I'll go
decisions.
Sterling.
don't we?
Fine.
We
I'll go.
can't-
I didn't see
I'll
the
go-
slash.
I'll go
You're not
Sterling.
going to have Phil
Deducted
Foden
points
in
for
your
that
team.
indecisiveness, but
I'm yet to see Phil Foden have a good game for England. He's a fabulous player, unreal for Man City.
I haven't seen Madison have a
I'm
good
yet
game
to
for
see
England.
Raheem
because
Sterling.
he
have a
hasn't
good
had a
game.
chance.
one, hasn't he?
Hasn't had a chance. I've seen
you haven't
Foden have plenty of chances and not perform well for England.
Mate, Foden's an unbelievable
I agree.
footballer.
But you talked to me a minute ago about impact off the bench with James Maddison. That's the exact same with Phil Foden.
Foden works harder than Maddison.
Not for me. I don't know. He probably does
Let's
do
see,
that
James.
Manchester City side where he's asked to play in that specific role.
This is from the start is what I was saying, right? And I'm giving you as many arrows as I can. So the reason for Trent is Foden, I would have to stay wide on that left-hand side, like he does for Man City. You can switch that ball to him really quickly, stretch the play. Kane can drop deep if he needs to. And the reason I picked Sterling over Saka, do you think I think about this too much?
I just love it. I just think it's so good.
I think these are the best arrows
Here's
yet,
why,
by the way.
here's why I
You
picked
are the
Sterling
best
over
arrows
Salah.
You need to work on your
Saka,
arrowheads, mate. What is this all about?
Yeah, I will.
Honky.
Is that like an infinity arrow? Or
Yeah,
something
it's
like?
just a bit of everything, really. The reason I put Sterling in, because I get the form thing. I get it.
Yeah.
But
He runs in behind there, doesn't he?
yeah, you know what I was saying? It's almost like a 4-4-2 at times. What he has done for England with Kane dropping deep and Sterling making that diagonal run in behind, Trent
Yeah.
being able to find him.
He's got to go, yeah, you're
He's
right.
a
That's why I
conundrum.
have that.
He does play
'Cause
some
I
of his
think
best football
sometimes
for England
it's
as
not-
well, doesn't he?
How many times you saw it with Man United over the last few years? Like the starting point has to be
Yeah.
how you're going to play.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of building a team around Trent here, which I'm not saying is right, but with the best that we've got, I then put Sterling in there. Saka off the bench,
Saka,
absolutely. I get it.
Saka.
Mate, it's close.
I'd say, yeah.
Leaving Saka out is dangerous, and also James to just
It's a tactical
feed in,
choice.
to feed into your.
You're taking him out to play Trent.
Your,
play Trent, basically.
your left-hand side, there's like Trent Alexander-Arnold. We know about his defensive lapses. Kieran Trippier, you're hoping is going to pull out there, and then you've got Raheem Sterling. I mean, in terms of the work rate down that side, I'm just not sure it's there.
What I wouldn't like, say Walker's playing right. You could I put Walker there.
Yeah, that changes
Trippier
things
there,
a bit. Yeah, that changes things.
Trips there, and then I would put Saka there.
So you wouldn't play Sterling in that role?
Not if you're playing that way. Because
Sterling on the
So-
right.
so I
James.
think-
So that's not what you're going with. You've not just made
I'm
an
staying with my Trent team.
right.
I'm staying
Okay,
with
you've
my
not just made an unprecedented
Sterling starts for you on the
sub.
right-hand side, James.
But he's starting there, and he's got more ability to make sort of diagonal runs as exactly like the goal he scored against Croatia. A similar thing to the Germany goals as well, in terms of that guy who can run in behind Kane to stretch it
I
for
mean,
us.
I just don't think Raheem Sterling's form justifies him being in this team.
That's a
I appreciate
completely valid
everything.
point.
I appreciate
I get it.
everything that he's done previously, and I understand why you're putting him in there. There's definitely grounds for it, but his form for Chelsea, and a lot of it is down to the club. A lot of it is down to the fact that he's been playing wing back. A lot of it is that, but
A lot of experience
just
for England as
judging
well.
the team, no, he certainly goes, certainly there.
For me, it's a shootout between Sterling and Foden.
Yeah,
same.
That's
right.
the
I
shootout
think
for
Saka
me.
definite, Kane definite, Sterling or Foden. Foden's playing better, and Chelsea are in trouble.
For me, it gets to a point where it's like, I can't leave Foden out. I just
can't leave
do
Foden
it.
out.
I know what you
And
mean.
and him. The thing is, he often he ends up playing on this left hand side. I really like Sterling on that right side driving, and Foden in a place where he wants to play. Trent switched it to Foden. It'd be frightening.
Yeah, I don't actually mind Sterling playing a kind of free role, but I think if he is going to do that, you kind of need that dedicated, creative dribbler on the right, and I think that has to be Saka. I think Foden in a 4-3-3.
dribble.
I feel like that first game against Croatia at the Euros. I feel like Foden and Mount, I think they started together. They got in each other's way
All
quite
the
a lot.
time,
I feel like they get
constantly.
into each other's way a lot. Whereas Sterling, I think, stays out of Mount's way. I think Sterling, on the basis of Euro 2020 alone, has to be there. I think that's the best individual performance at a tournament of our lifetime, maybe ever. And also, Kane and Sterling.
For England, that is. For England.
Oh, sorry?
For England.
Yeah.
Not like any nation.
Oh, no. For England,
We got it.
of course. But also, yeah, I think the Kane-Sterling partnership is
vital.
really underrated. Like the amount that they provided for each other over the years is mad. And I also think Saka. I think Saka's completely undroppable. I think he was. I think one of the problems actually at the Euros was not getting Saka on the field enough. Like,
I agree.
We just looked so dangerous. I think that's the thing. I think Sterling and Kane are ultimately goal scorers, aren't they? Saka just provides that extra bite to the attack, which I've not seen from other England players.
Even in the recent games against Germany, like when he
plays
that, it's just a total.
If Southgate plays it, he played
Mount
that
as well,
team
though.
with
That's
with
applicable
Saka,
to Mount,
I'd
who's not in your team.
shrug my shoulders and go, cool.
This is amazing. I'm sitting around this table with like true football thinkers, and I've managed to pick the best team.
I don't. First game of the tournament. I love that team. I really don't.
That means a lot to me
at all. But
James Lawrence
but you'd be in trouble.
validates my England.
You might be in trouble later down the line. Look, France with all the quality that they have, they play back three.
No, a lot of
Great
food for
point,
thought there.
Get on, play
And will they play
I would
forward?
lean towards a 4-2-3-1. That's why I like yours. I think that Foden is the one that gets dropped, and Sterling does remain, and Saka is on the right-hand side. So, I mean, McCubbin made a very compelling point there as well.
Can't drop Foden.
No, I actually think you
can't drop Foden.
Listen,
He's unbelievable. You can't drop Foden.
No, but you've built a team that's greater than the sum of its parts, and now you're talking about the individual quality.
We're talking about
Foden in it.
Foden. Has Foden ever actually started consistently for England over the last couple of years?
But the things you're saying about Foden, you've got Mount in. Mount's not been great for England.
He's not, but Mount doesn't.
Who's a better player?
But Mount's not. Well, technically, Foden on the ball, but Mount's not up against Sterling. Like Mount doesn't have as much quality competition in the position I'm going to play him in.
I think he's
Sterling
a
is
weak
completely
competition.
undroppable on the left. I think.
Ooh.
Or he's undroppable in general, and I think Saka's undroppable. I think this forward line is completely set in stone for me.
Yeah.
I can make changes to the back line. I can make changes to that midfield as well. But the forward line, I think, has been set in
Just
stone for the
out
last
of
2
us here
years.
then. So Saka, Sterling, Foden. Which one of those three is undroppable for you?
Foden and Saka.
No.
I feel that's a bit reductive at the moment.
Yeah.
I feel like Foden.
But you just said
I
Sterling.
rave about Foden as a generational
I think
talent,
Sterling and Saka
we don't
are
have many
undroppable.
players like him, do we? But as you've
just-
so dutifully pointed out,
just-
this
Again,
is
also-
about
again,
creating
also,
squad
Foden's
squad
right here,
harmony,
aren't I?
Foden
chemistry,
coming
and
off the bench as well.
Foden, Kane, Saka. That is the right choice. I have made the right choices.
Do you know
here.
what?
You've all had a
One
mare.
wrong.
It would be
You've genuinely all had a mare.
But I think also. I think Foden is. I think also Foden as an option off the bench is in some ways more effective than Sterling.
You're trying to make the team more palatable. You can't do it. Chris is onto you.
But, this is why I'm not. This is why I'm not taking Maddison, because I think Foden is the
When
guy
you start
to
talking about your first team, you
London
start bringing in
London
bench
centric.
chat. You're diluting your first team. Live and die by this. This is my team. This is
I
the
think
victory.
it'd be remiss of me to pick a team from around this table. I think we should
can't
let the
get enough
guys
from this
at
guy.
home decide.
How many points have you actually given out today? One point given out
Do you
in
know
this
what?
whole episode.
Kick him out the chat.
Ridiculous.
I actually thought that would help bring it to a close, and it's done the opposite. So, all right, if I'm going to pick, I would go for a 4-2-3-1. Who's got a 4-2-3-1?
Me.
Super.
Naive.
And Mikey.
So
I've
it
got
basically
4-3-3.
becomes
No, they're
But
making me
it's the
pick,
same.
so I'm going to take my
Same.
time now.
Sterling or Foden.
World Cup final against
I have
France.
that.
Who are you playing?
Come on.
Don't change
But it's
the
important. You're going to
rules.
get eaten
It's
alive.
important to
not
just
gonna
pick
get
your
you
best
alive.
team.
This show's now going to be 5 minutes longer because I am just gazing around a
Just
table.
give it a Rory. He needs a point, doesn't he?
Yeah, give it a roll.
Give it a Rory.
I do like that
I
team.
don't
the
want
more I
your
look at
pitchy
it.
No,
points.
because-
Also,
I don't
he
want
stepped
it.
in last
I'll
minute
ruin
as well.
Don't vote for me. I don't scrap
Then
that.
I would have
want
given in twice, and that is really spineless behaviour. So actually, you know, as much as I like disagreeing with Joe, I think I'm probably swaying towards
No,
the
that's
third.
That's
Rory's is the
Madison.
exciting, optimistic
That's
answer.
appalling from
But
you.
not. But I've already.
You've been relegated in my opinions of football creators. You've gone down one.
I'm pleased with that.
We can't have Sterling. We can't have Sterling.
And on that note, let's go into round 3. Yeah. Round 3 then, we're going to do some quick fire questions. And we're going to start with dark horses. Who's going to overachieve, let's say? Because dark horses implies they might win it, and that complicates things slightly. But who's your overachievers at this tournament? McCubbs, you got 3
I'm
seconds.
just going to go on a whim.
3, 2, 1, flip. Uruguay, Denmark, Senegal, Denmark.
nearly went with
Right, only get 1 line each as to why.
Front line: Cavani, Suarez, Nunes, lethal.
Right.
Jesus, is Lewis?
Like, that was like an
Suarez-
Opta tweet there as well, lethal.
You asked. You asked.
Nice.
Senegal, Mane, Koulibaly, AFCON winners, mentality monsters. Yeah, just a great team. And I think they could win their group as well with the Netherlands. So, yeah.
Right. Denmark boys.
I think they proved it at the Euros, and I think they'll just continue that kind of upward trajectory at the World Cup.
Possibly the best team in international football at the moment. Amazing in qualifying and
Slapped France up twice, didn't they? Was it once?
Yeah, and Myler has scored 5 goals. They're on their wing back. They're better than they were at the Euros.
Yeah,
And people won't be looking.
and they went to the semis of the Euros.
Yeah,
So
That is pretty scary, but this man's been after a point for a long time, and I've actually picked Uruguay as my dark horses, so I'm going to side with you.
Yes. Oh.
With we're
Ravanelli
finally
round
connected
the
at the end of the episode. Yeah, right. Let's move on to letdowns.
Oh,
Ooh,
God.
this is tough, actually. This is tougher.
Is it?
3, 2, 1, flip. Again, one-liner. Who's starting Orcott?
That's not allowed. That's not the spirit,
I'll tell you
man.
what,
That's
well,
really
let
not
me
the spirit.
speak. England, because we expect too much.
Okay, so it's on us.
Oh, it's on us, yeah. Right, okay. It'll be on, yeah. Like, people will turn it, and if you look at the route, it's very, very difficult.
Yeah, with that attitude, it is.
Punchy, yeah.
Yeah, with that attitude.
Can't win with you, Rory.
Yeah, Kante and Pogba are out. I know Tchouaméni and Camavinga are both great, but that France team has been built on very experienced players. I think that midfield might struggle in some games just with the lack of kind of the connections between players.
This is a long sentence, mate.
I also think, they also flopped at the last World Cup. They bottled it completely against Switzerland, didn't they? Not the last World Cup, at the Euros.
Yeah.
And I think, I'm not sure about their draw, but it'll probably be quite tough. Yeah, I don't fancy them.
Portugal just feel like people are expecting an awful lot from them. People seem to still be talking about Cristiano Ronaldo as if he is capable of galvanising this team, and I think it will come down like a house of cards.
You know what? I live near Stockwell, where there's a lot of Portuguese people. Go to some Portuguese bars, and they couldn't have a lower opinion of the manager, was it Santos, at current. So maybe other people, but not the Portuguese, I reckon. Spain.
I've gone for Spain. I just think that the domestic league is a real mess right now. I think the Spanish level of football has been the weakest it's been in decades.
So they were lucky at the Euros.
I think that I think that the wheels might come off.
And they're going to win it now. I'm going to go with France because I think France are due an implosion. So next up,
in the quarters.
Player of the tournament.
Tap
Easy.
Tap in. Absolute tap in.
I tell you what, let's swap. No, trust me.
Yeah. All right.
Let's swap. We're going to swap, okay?
Is this
we'll flip at the same time.
Is this a blind swap?
We'll flip at the same time.
Is it a blind swap or have you?
No, it's not blind swap.
Go on then. Let's go.
Have you seen what I've written?
Yes.
3, 2, 1. Flip.
Leo.
Oh, we've all done it.
I've done it wrong. It was fine, mate.
Right.
Neymar, he's gone Neymar.
Let's give Joe the floor then because he's gone for Neymar.
I think Brazil are going to win the whole thing, and Neymar will win the World Cup as being both the top scorer and the best player at the tournament, having a stunningly good season in Ligue 1. And although Brazil and Argentina, who I think are both the two strongest sides of the World Cup, so arguably Messi's a very good shout as well, I think Brazil will come out on top, and that's the reason he'll win it.
I'm just going to have to give him the point being different, aren't I? I mean, you don't have to explain Messi as an answer.
All right, okay, fair enough.
Right, young player of the tournament. This is where it gets a little bit more interesting. McCubbin still. I'm tempted to deduct you a point for being consistently late.
Very slow.
Yeah.
Very slow.
Right, 3, 2, 1, flip.
Ooh, Musiala.
Oh, it's a shout. If he counts. Do we count
isn't it?
23-year-olds?
Vinny Junior's young.
Is Vinny?
I think he might be
Junior.
Junior.
He's good junior. What do you think the word junior means? Yeah.
Bellingham.
Musiala.
Musiala. I think Musiala's a good shout as well.
Musiala. I think given what he's currently doing in the Bundesliga, where he's going at nearly a goal a game from like an attacking midfield role, I think it would just transfer perfectly into that German
He's
side.
been great for Germany.
The problem is with Musiala, I don't know if he's. I think isn't Thomas Müller still occupying that spot in the starting lineup for Germany? I feel like Musiala might not get the game time.
Ooh, if
that
he is,
obviously
then
deserves.
he shouldn't be.
But I might be wrong there. I wasn't really thinking that much about. I didn't really think it through. But Bellingham, I thought
his own answer down.
I thought he was going to be the young player at the Euro 2020. Didn't get enough game time for it. I think he will this time round. I think Pedri's probably still in with a shout for young player, but I didn't want to be boring because he was the best player at the Euros. I think Bellingham. If England do well, I think Bellingham's going to be incredibly important in terms of offering that side something that they haven't really had that much from midfield in recent years. So it's very reliant on England to do well. But if they do, I think Bellingham's going to be one of the best players at the tournament.
I think they're already good answers and they pretty much cancel each other out. But does anyone have anything to add about their?
Vinicius Junior. I just think that this Brazilian front line is dazzling, and he could be the jewel in the crown. I think him linking up with Neymar. I mean, that's dancing with the ball, isn't it? It's a beautiful sight. And I think that he has the ability to capture the nation. Also, if we're being totally rational, they're probably going to win it, which will enhance his status in the tournament.
The crazy thing, I can't remember who it was that Brazil played. I think they might have won 4-0. This is not a good point now, but I'm going to carry on with it anyway. But I watched them beat someone heavily, and they played a 4-3-3, and Neymar started in a 3-man midfield. And I think, because that is a possibility, that forward line, people who you might not expect to get minutes might get some minutes against the lesser opposition.
Yeah, I say against Vinicius Junior, it's all about Neymar with Brazil, and he likes to play in that area. So he might kind of get in his way.
Yeah, we'll see if there's some stepping on toes, or maybe maybe it'll work.
I think Neymar will play in the midfield for you.
Yeah, penultimate one then, Golden Boot, gents. McCubbin, 5 seconds before you get deducted all the points you've earned on this quiz show so far. 3, 2, 1. Harold Kane, Neymar. Oh, go on then. In the spirit of
you unpatriotic fools. I think Harry Kane's going to get it. I genuinely believe it. And let's face it, for us to have any sort of hope in this tournament, we need him to. So there is sort of a prerequisite here. This isn't necessarily what I think; it's what I need to happen for England to have any chance. He needs to be hitting the back of the net. He needs to be in his most ruthless form, and he'll be desperate for it. Who will be desperate to achieve it. So I think he can do it.
Do you think people are underestimating his league form coming into this World Cup? Because it's his best start to Premier League campaign, right?
Do you know what's happened to him? And it's kind of happened to me as well. Haaland. It's happened to him, hasn't it? If Haaland wasn't, if Haaland was still
Did that work in his favour, though? Overshadowed him a little bit? Maybe expectations going into the World Cup? No one's talking about him being the saviour, are they?
No, I think that he will score goals. I think he'll be desperate to do it. And England will play to his strengths. England will build to make sure that Harry Kane is facilitated as well as he can be. And I truly believe that he will win his second Golden Boot. He was.
All right, then. Give Rory a point. Right. Winners.
Now, I'm hoping you got to stick by your guns here, you two. You got to stick by your guns. I want to see a specific answer on these two here.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Right, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, mate. Do you watch the documentary?
Come on.
It's Brazil.
Obviously,
it's England.
England.
I was very tempted to go patriotic and go England. I was very tempted. I did that for the Euros, and we nearly got it.
I feel like we didn't really hear the Messi rationale, so maybe this side of the table, give me your Argentina rationale. Starting with James.
So the Argentina rationale is, it just feels a bit like Italy last year in terms of it's
written in the stars.
They're more the sum of their parts, and then Messi, and then it's all about Messi, and he's just getting into a lovely vein of form at the moment as well. And I did this thing with Guillaume Balaguer, and he said, "Watch Messi next season," and I was thinking, okay. And he's just started to get it going.
That's not exactly
No, he was doing a documentary with him.
Prophetic.
Yeah. Hang on a minute. You think the best footballer ever is going to play well next year, do you?
No,
where were you?
At the time, it was all a bit minging at PSG.
Negative.
And he was doing interviews with him, a documentary with him, and we spoke about it. And I don't know, it's just in my mind. I have watched the documentary recently. It's his last one.
The job Scaloni's done with them is unreal.
Scaloni's done a great job with them.
I expected more
some
from
of the parts.
I'm slightly disappointed.
I love England to win it.
I'm slightly disappointed with you.
That's okay.
Also, Argentina, they're probably hopefully going to beat Italy's unbeaten run as well, provided they don't lose to the UAE in a friendly that might have happened by now.
They slapped Italy in that international Super Cup final, didn't they? The Panellists.
As well.
I think I'm slightly hoping that if it's not England, that Messi is going to get the World Cup. So it's slightly that. But I agree with James. I think there's just a feeling about Argentina, and they did Brazil in the Copa America final as well.
On their turf,
there's precedent in Brazil, not in front of fans, not in front of fans. But that whole tournament was an absolute mess logistically. It was supposed to be in Argentina, wasn't it? They came through that. I just think that there's something about this Argentina team.
Yeah, and I really would. I get the Brazil thing, but I don't think anyone's miles out in front. And saying about France, they've been kind of pegged back a little bit because of some of those injuries. And so I think that just sort of brings it all together.
I think Brazil and Argentina are by far favourites.
But voting logically, if I were doing this with any
I'm
logic,
disappointed in you.
If I were doing any logic,
no, don't go back.
So you're wrong. You're wrong patriotically, and then you're wrong. And then you're wrong logically.
You're wrong patriotically.
You're patriotically wrong, and then you're logically wrong.
We're going to leave here both really disappointed.
Yeah, I think Brazil is a shout, but I can only say England. I get to this stage of a tournament, when it's coming, I'd suddenly I'd like listen to World in Motion constantly and wear a bucket hat and like truly believe that it's
Now
happening.
you've said that, points for the other three. And then let's wrap
Can I
this
just
up.
say, I've got a funny feeling it's going to be Portugal, Argentina. I haven't looked at if it works.
In the final.
I think
just
it's
got a
Brazil. I
funny
think it's Brazil
feeling.
Argentina semi, isn't it? I think if they both progress in the
Yeah.
way they do, so
I've got a funny feeling those two.
Ronaldo.
What's
versus
your,
Messi
what does it say on your
final.
neon sign? Something's
Something's happening here.
Something's happening here in the build-up to the World Cup. Right, we'll get scores in the doors and then we'll round the show off. Listen, we think the scores are 3-2-1, but that could be incorrect because James only started scoring from roughly the second round onwards.
Well
so
done, James.
everyone's a winner.
Well done, James.
He nodded and went like that.
Yeah, well done, James.
Yeah.
Well done, mate.
No, but seriously, guys, thank you very much
Pleasure.
for joining us. This has been a really,
honour.
really fun show. Where can the team at home find you?
Search my name, James Lawrence Alcott. Lots of World Cup content on the way. Previews on most of the teams. So yeah, go check
Not
out.
so hard to find now. Wait, 200,000 subscribers. That is big
Me
boy
and
shit.
Raw. Me and Raw are sort of holding hands, aren't we?
Yeah, it's
huge.
It's great. Yeah, loving it as well.
It's good, mate.
Yeah, it's
Life's
good. Thank you so much for having us on.
Tearing up a little bit. Yeah, that was really genuine. Yeah, pleasure's all ours. And if you enjoyed this, like I said, go and watch these guys' latest video. We'll put a link in as the top comment. Bloody hell, now I'm stuttering.
Let's wrap it up.
What a terrible outro, but we're going to roll with it. Yeah, you know what? Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, all that. Bye.
See you later.